Susie's in the principal's office, and she keeps trying to give him a kiss. And the principal's like, no, you can't give me a kiss. He pushes her away. A second time, she comes at him, and she tries once more to give him a kiss. He rejects her advances, and a third time she comes at him and goes for that kiss, and he goes, Susie, 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 you can't kiss me. We shouldn't even be having sex.
Having sex? What? Who is this? Why did you call me?
Well, I was going to get to that.
Okay.
Yeah. This is Cannibal Video. The punchline was going to be, you're in the office for cutting class. Cutting class, coincidentally, the movie that you have overdue.
No. This is not Cannibal Video's number.
Well, yes, I called you from another line. I'm on a payphone now because I knew you know our number and you don't answer.
Did you just say payphone?
Yes, if you could have that back as soon as possible, that'd be great.
Wait, hello?
Thank you. All right, guys, here we're going to talk about the movie Cutting Class. 1989's Cutting Class. Lee, had you seen this one before?
No, and it's very strange. This is a Brad Pitt movie.
With Brad Pitt, it's in the forefront.
And I wouldn't have thought that I know.
Colonel Mustard's in this motherfucker.
Well, I'm like, I don't know that I've seen everything Brad Pitt is in, but I would not have thought that I would have missed, because this is a few years before Brad Pitt is like Frank in Cool World or something like that, right? This is early Brad Pitt. It's not quite his first, but it's his first, maybe one of his first like real movies, kind of. They're not like a TV movie or an episode of something like that. I was pretty like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah. It's a fun catch. Another period-based movie where it definitely feels like a set time where you're like, this wouldn't happen now. This is interesting. Oh, look what they did in school then. like cool stuff. Brad Pitt as a star in this. It's like a horror, but not really a horror movie.
It's very strange. It is listed as a like comedy crime horror, I think.
I guess that's accurate.
Technically, I did not go into this thinking that it was a comedy, and I think only twice during the entire thing did I say to myself, is this supposed to be a comedy? What am I watching?
Like, it was so Comedy of Errors kind of jumps to mind in certain parts where I'm like, that's hilarious because that doesn't work, like things like that, but I don't think that stuff was intentional.
We can get into it more in spoilers.
Oh, we will.
But it is listed as a comedy, and there are things that I think that they thought were funny. And I'm not sure which ones are which.
There's something we'll definitely go into about that. Yeah,
so part of me is like, do I hate this? Was it just boring? Or is it like a genius, or unintentionally genius, like parody of these movies or whatever? So I'm like, there's something here that it's got a little interesting bit to me or whatever. That is how I'm enjoying it though, not like on its face.
It reminds me, and not in the humor level of, but almost like Tammy and the T-Rex, where it's a movie where it's like, this movie's ridiculous. And I don't know that it would be as ridiculous if it didn't have like the people that are in the movie. Or like you look at this at the script and how things happen and where they go. And I guess, especially because it's older, things that you couldn't do now are happening in this film. And then you're like, Brad Pitt is in that movie?
That's what makes right. So like the Paul Walker Brad Pitt thing, right? And like there's more people that I know and love in Tammy, but like this one is like, the fact that Brad it would be almost unremarkable but strange if it didn't have Brad Pitt. Having Brad Pitt in it catapults it to a whole other category of like, how did this happen?
Well, and what's Colonel Mustard's real name or Principal Kraft or whatever? That dude was a name. He was in famous things.
He's in a lot of stuff though.
Yes. But in this
Brad
pocket
Pitt,
of this, I think he would be around his height.
And like Brad Pitt has no say in like the script, but it's just so strange that like this whole time, like even as Brad Pitt's fame grew, no one said like, hey, look at this or something like that. Like, where'd this go? Where'd this come from? What's happening? I'm very like it sparks questions in my imagination.
I think this one is relatively known, just not in a lot of circles.
Okay.
This is one, the first time I picked this up was on VHS, and it was the first movie I think that I got where the VHS was damaged, and I tried to fix it myself, and like it didn't work. Like it wasn't just a simple like, I just gotta spin this back up, or we gotta tape this piece together. There was like a stretching issue, so like all the sound was off, and there was like a little mold in the box.
Dude, taping like the actual like little tape together, you felt like I don't know what.
Like MacGyver.
I was gonna say like not. I wanted to say like a hacker, but I mean like before they had it was
like
amazing.
A splicer.
It was this amazing, this amazing old thing. Yes. Would you say that it's like a cult movie of any kind?
I would say this is, if it's not in cult status, it is certainly approaching cult status.
Should go to cult. Okay, I could see that. Now I'm interested again. I want to find out who the hell else has seen this because I had no idea that it existed. It's has a strange quality and some things that we'll get into, right? I find it intriguing, and for Brad Pitt alone and how weird it is, I would say to watch it.
For even just for the world that is set up here, I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely recommend. I enjoyed it, and we'll talk more about it in spoilers. So if you've seen this or don't care, falls over to spoilers, and if not, pull out now.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video and we eat the competition.
All right, so here we are for the spoilers of Cutting Class.
Cutting Class.
Indeed.
This is not a drill. The box has a huge Brad Pitt on it. Brad Pitt is not in this movie for 5 minutes. He's not in this movie for 10 minutes. He's in this movie for like all the minutes. He's like the main character or one of the main characters of this movie.
It wasn't a scam. It wasn't
like,
a re-release later trying to be like, look at this, Brad Pitt.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. I think,
how old was he, do you know? He was fucking so young.
Oh, 20s, early 20s.
Right? He's super young. Still looks the same.
Brad Pitt is aging incredibly well, yeah.
He's quite a specimen.
Yeah, certainly. I'll take him.
He's chewing on those adrenochrome glands and stem cells or whatever. I don't know what's happening, but
he eats only puffin meat.
Oh, yeah. That's why they're endangered.
Well, Brad's got to have his puffin.
Takes a lot to sustain him, a lot of protein.
Yeah. So while we're deep in the spoilers mode here, you didn't love this movie?
I didn't love it that much, but it's so weird that I kind of love it in that way. I think our discussion may shatter my illusions about like why I like it though, so I'm like prepared.
Let's start that.
Yeah, because you might be like, that doesn't make sense though, because how you know this? And I go, I guess it isn't cool. Oh well, and then I'll just end up hating everything. But this movie is about a bunch of high school students, right?
Yes.
There's a chick named Paula, and everybody wants to fuck her.
Like almost everybody.
Like. I think her dad may want to fuck her. Like everybody wants to fuck this person. And joke's on all them because she won't even fuck Brad Pitt.
Why don't you just take me home? I gotta study.
So and if you're not gonna fuck Brad Pitt, you're not fucking anyone.
No one else is gonna fuck you. Yeah. It's like crazy. But the whole time, there's so many scenes of like what is happening between these different characters. Perverts.
I won't mind cleaning up after you. Oh, yes.
And weirdos.
Like making her bend over and she's just falling for it. She's this like hapless thing.
On the floor.
It's like it's.
Well, she's like a good girl and doesn't even think about it that way.
Exactly.
Like why does the principal always give me things on the ground?
He made her sign something on the ground or something.
Just sign this. It says that you will take good care of the uniforms.
Oh, you know I will.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
And he's like a Christoph Waltz type creep
guy.
Yeah, he
is.
I was like, good times. Meanwhile, so Brad Pitt, it's funny because we've made this comparison, while talking about other movies. They kind of have a Steve and Nancy thing going on, where she is kind of like a Nancy Wheeler type. He's like playing basketball.
Well, I ain't got no basketball scholarship, so now I gotta get in school by using my brain.
He's not book smart, kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
They're doing this whole thing.
My mind went to Sid and Nancy real quick. I was like, what's he saying?
Wait a minute. This motherfucker's crazy. I don't know. Like Stranger Things. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. I'm on the page now.
I should have introduced the thing. Yeah, that was actually my thought the whole time. And we even introduced a third that has a weird, like, she seems to not reject him instantly, right?
Who's this for?
You.
How did you know that I wanted one?
You had that look.
You're not gonna eat that thing, are you? Why not? I'm hungry.
This
has a different reaction to him when they're alone versus when they're in a group.
This is the character of Brian, right? Who like literally,
her redheaded friend dies also.
There's connections.
Oh God, it's like the same thing.
It's like the same movie. The
Demogorgon comes. Oh wait,
no.
Sequel.
So this whole vibe here, right? Like Brad Pitt comes over. She doesn't want your hot dog, asshole. She wants my hot dog.
Brian beat you to it.
Get in the car.
Why?
Get in the car!
What does that mean?
Euphemism.
Is that fucking? I don't know. I'm a little slow, right? But like exactly the same vibes as like Stranger Things. Or alternative theory, Paula is like a Lydia from Beetlejuice, or maybe the chick from Drop Dead Fred, right? Because she has a friend who I assume is imaginary or has powers, because he's able to teleport.
How could I kill people in the past, the future, or change the course of history forever?
And seems to be able to do all these weird things that make no sense, and he seems to enjoy the misery and messing with other people.
He's definitely, well, like, I think this movie's brilliant.
Yeah.
For this reason of, like, if you were to look at the box, you would see the killer holding an axe on the back.
Yeah.
You know, you see Brad Pitt predominantly, you see things happening. But the movie is framed as such where you don't really know he's the killer until, like, the very end. And for almost no reason when you do find out. Because she is under the impression that he is innocent. She is locked in a room with a teacher. There's a math problem he has to solve.
You add distance
Are you sure
and
that the
don't talk to me. I can't concentrate.
You were the math teacher. Just do it.
And when the door opens, there's our boy with an axe, and he just clips this guy 3 times, and then finishes it like into his head.
Wrong door.
And then when that guy dies, there's no wounds on him. It's only the headshot. We'll breeze past that. That's
fine.
Whatever. But at that moment, it was such a heel turn of a character because he went through this whole thing of trying to say, "Oh, I'm innocent. Oh, look, it's actually Brad Pitt. Notice how that ring that's really not on his hand very well. That's him." And did they ever actually explain that? Did he ever lose the ring?
Yes, they did. No. So like when he picks up, the vice principal, I think it is, Mrs. Knacht, dies, right?
Yes.
And she's on the.
Oh, did he touch her in the last minutes? Oh, okay, I didn't catch that.
Do something!
He fucking holds up her head and like puts his hand, and like that's why, because the copy was still running, right? But like we didn't think anything of it, at the time.
So that picture had to be grabbed secondhand, because if you look at it, the ring's on the wrong digit of the hand. So they must have been like, "Oh, we gotta get this thing. Oh, Brad's not here. Oh, the ring that fit Brad doesn't fit our PA. All right, just get it on as far as it'll go. We got this."
Perfect.
Because I was like, in my head, I'm like, oh, he's obviously framed. That moron's wearing his ring. Look how poorly it fits. And then the next shot, you see him, Brad Pitt's wearing that ring, and I'm like, I don't know.
Dwight, you gotta calm down.
I'm just getting started.
Dwight?
And it's his family ring. It's not a school ring, so it's not something there's more than one of, potentially.
It's a whole weird thing. Well, if I'm not going to get your ring, whatever. And he did trade the ring and
like,
all
they
that
literally
stuff.
bartered with the ring for moments.
Yes.
He's like, well, I want your key to do this thing that I only allowed to do once, and you can wear my ring until then.
It's an insurance policy to make sure she gets the key back.
Hey, come on, Dwight. Give her some incentive. Let her have your ring.
Nobody gets my family ring.
Is it worth seeing the file?
They have to swap the ring, and you do that in class. You just pass it across like 20 people.
Across the person you hate.
Yeah, through the person. Well, she doesn't hate him. She's like, he's something about him. I don't know. Yeah. Frankenstein's looking at you. She wants to fuck, and he's like, I have a hot dog. It's great. No, like there's a vibe here that I like, but I want to disagree with you. Sure. I was like, well, I hope it's not him, because it's obviously him. And the whole time I'm like, when he shows up with the axe, I was like, well, it's not going to be him. That's crazy. It's been him the whole time. They've been trying to turn it into like a thing. So then I was like, okay, maybe Brad Pitt's in on it. Maybe there's something like interesting happening.
No,
and there was
I think
nothing
it's
happening.
so obviously him that it shouldn't, like, again, like that they're throwing in things like she finds the tape, and the tape says like, oh, I was covering for a friend who taught me how to murder.
Who taught him to cut brake lines?
Paula, I think we've read enough.
Who taught him to cut brake lines?
friend. A friend taught her.
And then like
I
the
thought that was
natural
all.
wrapping up
I
of
thought that
framing
was all
Brad Pitt.
shoddy, fake misdirection.
Oh, it's super shoddy,
to
but
be-
most
no,
of the
no, no,
movie
no.
is shoddy.
No, but to be like, it is gonna be him, but we're gonna make you think it's not. But we're gonna make it too obvious so you don't think it. Like I'm like no. I went all the way around twice, and I was like, no, I think it's him.
Well,
and this is
the
bad
filmmaking made me go, oh, it's the custodian probably.
I need to get my math book. Book, read, book.
The thing with pages.
Yeah.
Never saw one.
Okay.
Because the custodian, like, seemingly would have happened upon all
would've
these
been good
dead
too.
bodies
That would've been good
and
too.
not reported any of them. Because
Yeah.
the teacher was burned alive, and then the guy, like, leaves. And moments later, the custodian walks in and goes, all right, art is dirty. And I'm like, that's a good line for you just killed an art guy.
There's art. There's dirt.
I'm like, all right. And then he, like, Toxic Crusader, like, attacks the guy with the mop. You're the killer! And I'm like, well, it would make sense for you to try to kill the killer that they think is the killer to get away with murder.
Murderer!
You're wrong!
And he's like mopping up the blood at
Yeah.
like one point, but doesn't
He
know about
threatens
the bodies.
Brad Pitt.
I'm gonna teach you to say please and thank you and how to survive in this shithouse. I'm the only teacher that you'll remember.
He does all this jazz. That mopping up of the blood, I'm like, it is a pool of blood surrounded by popcorn and dry floor when they died under the bleachers. How did this happen?
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. The bleachers moved in. They were on like those things. I'm making shit up.
Those
I don't
are
care.
things, but the bleachers were fully in the shot behind them.
I don't care. It's fine. Yes. No, like having the. I liked the janitor. I thought that he was cool. What did he say? I'm the custodian of your destiny. He says some fucking crazy line like that.
I'm the custodian of your fucking destiny.
That man is right.
So like that was cool, and I would have liked. What does he do? He shows up at the end. Does he die or do anything? What happens?
No, he walks in. There's a murder scene right in front of him, and he goes, "What are you, in survival class?"
You
And then the
stupid
two of them
bitches.
leave
Yeah.
the scene of a murder.
What is this? Survival class?
Which way do I turn it?
Left!
There's a dead guy right there.
Yeah.
And they just leave. Yeah. Did you think that that was a joke? Do you think that this is a joke? Do you think
The
that they're-
movie, or that line?
So like pick anything. And my question is, okay, I timed it out because I like Paul to be like, where is this? It's like 30 something minutes into the movie, maybe 40. I didn't time it out. I'm lying. When they're out on like a field trip and someone steps.
Oh, that's ludicrous. The teacher.
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying the dad gets stepped on.
Mother Nature talks to you.
And is wheezing and like can't call for help. And at that point I was like, is this a comedy? Are you trying to make jokes?
I think it is a very poor made
and
comedy.
I started to freak out a little bit.
Like the comedy for me would just be in the idea of the writing. So the dad goes away on a camping vacation or a hunting vacation. He's going to be away for some time. The daughter is not expecting him back. But it turns out he's like down the street. He's like very close. And he gets shot with an arrow. And falls, and then he wakes up, and he's alive still. He gets stepped on, and
like
you think that there's going to be a turn here.
Listen,
where the dad, oh my God, what's happening?
You don't know that he's alive until he gets stepped on.
Yeah, he gets like that. That resuscitates
right.
him. Yeah,
they like show the body in like the bottom of the shot. I think as they're walking up, and like you think he's dead there. You think that they are about to find the corpse of her father on this field trip.
They should have.
Yeah,
I think it would have been a better Scream type of thing where it's like, oh, this and that, and stuff would have happened. But, so he's resuscitated, and now we were treated, I'll say treated, to many scenes of the father now, like never getting rescued. But he's not that far away. He's like a school bus trip in the middle of the day away from where they are, but he wasn't sleeping at home for some reason. That's a comedy thing where I'm like, that doesn't make sense. It makes me laugh. How plausible.
I was gonna say that part's all okay. Just the fucking thing of him cutting back a bunch of times, like making his way slowly back.
At one point,
to his,
the
like,
hounds
house.
have found him.
He's like yelling
and
at
the
dogs.
joke is he's eating a donut, and I'm like, where did he get the donut? Let's say he had it with him regardless. And then is it like the Sean Whalen, like, like he can't talk because his mouth is full of powder?
Get help!
If he would have just held onto the dog, they would have been like, hey, my dog didn't come back, and they would have found him.
He's yelling at the dog. Like, I think he like clears the donut and he's yelling at the dog. Don't you speak English?
Help! Help! Do you understand English?
Yeah,
get help!
Me.
Yeah, right. It's this crazy. It's
for whatever reason he
it's
carries the arrow everywhere he goes. Also, up until the very end when he almost gets hit by his daughter and her boyfriend in the car.
They filmed that.
He's
like
a mile up the mountain and he rolled the whole way down.
They filmed that all in the same hour, so he's just like, we need that. Don't lose that arrow. That was the whole point of it.
But the way they set up, and that's the on-the-nose comedy of it, is like he was babbling about, I am the murderer of the future and the past and the blah, 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 and this and that. And then like, as she's saying this, oh, I don't have any brakes. That's my dad. Ah! And he breaks his way out.
Said something about killing beyond space and time. About killing in the future. God, he was crazy. What's that?
Is that a joke, though?
It is a joke in that it's a joke.
No,
I don't know
like,
if it's a written joke.
Do you think they said, this is funny, we're going to do the thing... Okay, there's a thing in, like, video games where like, something, like people hate escort missions, where you have to, like, take some, like, useless
They're the worst.
thing. Okay, right? So games started to know that, and they started to put a joke in the game. Uh-oh, like we're going to have to get this thing over there. Uh-oh, is it an escort mission? And then you would do a fucking escort mission. And, like, game podcasters and like reviewers started saying that doesn't make the mission suck less if you acknowledge that you know it sucks. That makes me less, like more upset. So my question here is similar. Is this a joke that he's there making his way home the whole time, that they like
oh yeah, it's clearly a joke.
But they can't,
somebody wrote this and was like, this shit's like Ferris Bueller. No, this is the funniest shit ever.
They can't be smart enough to know that it should be funny that they only tell each other in the car while they're already driving about how he was going to kill them in the future, and then his brakes suddenly go out. That just has to be like the screenplay, right? That can't be a joke too, though, right?
It's a callback to how the other guy.
Yes.
So like he killed his own dad that way, and now this and so forth. But I still think it would have been funny it would have been better had it been like, no, like he covered for his friend Brad Pitt actually, because they even say something when they're under the car. Remember when we pulled those things out of your dad's car and we couldn't get him back in?
Remember the time under my dad's car? We took that part out, didn't put it back in.
We were just fooling around.
I wasn't fooling around.
That is how your dad died. Brad Pitt is kind of a murderer. So when you say those whole things of like, you're a murderer all along, you just don't know what you want because you're something this.
There's a point earlier where it's like, I forgive you or something like that. Weirdo to Steve Harrington, right?
What are you so afraid of? I can forgive you.
So like, that's the movie. That's the story. Is that they have this weird history where like he blames himself for the thing. Maybe yes, Brad Pitt is like the psycho. Maybe they used to do other stuff together back when they were kids.
And they click again under the car. Yes. They laugh and joke for a minute and then immediately go back to like, fuck you, weirdo.
I'll never forget what you taught me. When you use a screwdriver, it's always righty-tighty and lefty-loosey.
Jeez, you remember that.
And he stands up for him in the class. And it's like, what?
Why you always gotta mess with him or something, right?
Yeah.
Why you always gotta give him a break?
And then that guy gets expelled saying like, oh, I'd rather suck donkey dicks.
Yeah.
I'd rather suck donkey dick.
What?
Which doesn't fit our like narrative of like
none of
he's
it
not
fits
the guy.
That character's narrative.
Yes.
The teacher says, "Oh, I've got all these reports about how you're a bad student."
All your teachers say you suck.
Maybe there's one from the gym because Brad Pitt fucked around with the rope and he fell.
backwards. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Brad Pitt, obviously, the Ralph Macchio of this, where he's the true villain. But then, like, in the other class, in the math class that he got kicked out of that one time, there could not have been other reports because he was like a good teacher, he was answering the questions.
Yeah,
he knew the
they
things.
fucking love him.
He did all the homework. He did that shit. Like, so I'm like, where did these other reports come from? You're not expressing through the movie what you're telling me is happening in the movie.
Right. There's no, like, this is a bad kid.
No.
And, right. If anything, it's like, right. Because, like, who's drinking? Who's out late? Who's not studying? It's Brad Pitt.
There's a Brad Pitt
What the
part
fuck?
where the girl goes, "Have you been drinking?" And he's holding a beer.
Have you been drinking?
And he's like, maybe, or something.
And he,
like
he
that.
puts it into her pocket.
Does he?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And then he
Yes.
walks away.
I love it.
But that, like, have you been drinking? He like she says it to him as he's actively drinking.
No,
Not
Yeah.
recently.
I'm not drunk. Yeah.
No, this movie has some ridiculous stuff, and I'm
Okay.
shitting on a lot of parts here, but I ultimately did love the interactions with these characters. I like the setting. I love the school they're in. Like,
Yeah.
this is a school back in the day when schools could do things.
She's wearing panties.
It's like, oh, that's an actual auto shop. And this thing's good things happening. We didn't slash the budgets, and
Right.
that's a kiln that like you would have in like an actual studio where you could do
Yes.
things.
What are you?
Did schools like that ever exist?
Yeah, I think that was
Are
the
you sure?
70s, 80s. Yeah.
Okay. never seen one.
Things were a lot different back in the day. Like, school was
Yeah.
important. There was actual music classes and things. And now it's just like, hey, you have a
when-
Chromebook, right?
Back when money was free and everybody was happy.
Well, money's freer now. It's just worth a lot less.
I know what I'm saying.
They just print it.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Okay, I do appreciate a lot of parts of this movie. I did like some of the stuff. I think everybody wanting to fuck Paula. Here's something. The vice principal character. Show her face. Jane Lynch, I think, if we were to remake this movie, should have played her.
Okay, girls, let's hurry up. The stands are packed. Come on.
Okay.
She's the coach from Glee
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
I'm familiar with
I've never seen Glee, but so I was like, who's that?
She's also an
Yeah.
actress.
Yeah, well, no, I was like, who's what's her name from the 4-Year-Old Virgin? She would have been
Yeah.
perfect. I want her in that role, and I want her to also want to fuck Paula. I want her to be in on this whole like game that goes
Yeah.
on there. I think that would make this a lot stronger. I love everybody wanting to kill Brian so quickly. There's like just it's the weirdo. And they have do they have actual torches? I think they're like a fucking
No,
mob.
there's no torch. Like,
they're like,
and Brad Pitt
we're gonna
turns
get
with
him.
no evidence at all. Like,
Yes.
it was him.
You did it. He's the killer.
Paula, get the police!
He was caught with blood. Like,
Yes.
he does it in like the PTA meeting thing.
had blood
there
on
was
his
blood on
hands.
his hands.
Yeah.
There was no blood on his hands.
Yeah, well, he like comes out like he's like washing his hands or whatever, right? It's crazy. No, it's crazy. The whole thing is crazy. That I like though. The idea of like Brad Pitt's dad, who like Brad Pitt can't like impress him in his sports and the bullshit.
He's not even
and,
good
like,
at
him,
sports.
whatever.
Like, maybe
Listen,
you could take it as the pressure
Yes.
of his dad and the situation and like the
Yes.
scout in the audience. But like, he hot dogs and like oh, I'm hot shit. And then every time he does anything, it's like absolute dog
No, he
shit.
sucks.
Which, I'm like, as a person filming this movie, you're probably like, oh man, great. I don't have to wait for Brad Pitt to get this shot in like after 1,000 tries. He can just fucking shoot it once, shit off, and I'm like, okay, we got it.
Because he's like strutting and everyone's cheering for
Yeah.
him, like whatever. But yeah, he's like a victim of his own I don't know what, right? Maybe make it like he was out drinking the night before and doing bullshit and now he like can't function right. Maybe make him on some sort of drugs or whatever. Maybe have him look into the stands and see Brian and like his chick and get like, wait, what? And have a fucking thing and
Yeah.
then blame him. Do some. He's like his whole life falls apart for no reason.
Exactly.
Just because of like him. There's
Yeah,
no.
he went
they
from
don't
like
even-
being the rich,
Yeah.
popular, like athletic kid
Yeah.
to just losing it for no reason.
They don't even make it out to be a thing that is like the pressure or something like that. If anything, like the way that it's shown to us, I thought there was going to be some scene where he's like, I don't know, I just looked out there and looked at my dad. I always did what my dad wanted me to do, and now I'm just like, fuck that.
That's a different movie.
I'm like free or whatever. No, but like put that into this movie, and then and he is the killer. And he's like, I'm gonna do what I want, which is continuing to murder. This is my true passion, is murder, right? Something like that.
The actual killer says something like, and I knew I was gonna be a murderer, and it's got great hours.
I was a murderer. It wasn't as prestigious as being a doctor or a lawyer, but the hours were good.
That dude is magic, though.
Yeah.
He does teleport. He does just pop into things. When he's hiding behind a jug of water.
Treatment. Electroconvulsive therapy. What's electroconvulsive therapy? Shock treatment, man.
I was like, there's no way you can't see him. He is comically blown up by the water. His like shoulder blades would be sticking out.
And it's not just like we know we're cutting over to the other side of the room for fun. Someone gets a glass of water from that water thing. It goes blub blub blub, and he's like behind it. It's amazing. So like that's when I was like, wait, are you trying to make jokes? Is this a joke? Is this a joke?
He is in every room anyone goes into before they're in there, though.
Yes.
I'm like,
and he like appears instantly. Something happens with like a drum thing at one point, and then they leave as if to be like, oh, he's on to us, and then he walks into the frame.
Yeah, it's like a rim shot or something. What was that?
Well, but they're like, what was that? Oh, like it must be him. So so they walk past the drums and leave. The symbol is still like doing it, and then the other guy walks in and like stops it with his hand, haha, right? As if
well, he
has
does
powers.
Disappear and appear like toward the end when he still has the grinder in his hand.
He's not a human,
and then he like throws it, and when they look to the left and right, he's nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
And you're like, how did he do that? There's a part where he's in the art class and he's just behind the bust of that like woman.
Muscle groups, they enlarge to facilitate the movement. Can you see the stretching, the definition? What are you doing back there?
And the teacher's like, what are you doing in here? He's not a human. He's like a trickster god or like a robot. He doesn't sleep. When she wakes up, he's leaning on the bed staring at her sleeping.
Yeah.
He's not a human.
It's his only opportunity.
Something has happened to him, right? All the electricity gave him powers or something like that.
The weirdness of him breaking in on her and she's like topless, like making a bath or whatever, and then like he helps her put on her thing. I'm like, what girl who's like, hey, creepy guy, as I'm naked, help me put on my thing in front of a mirror?
Whole thing.
So he's behind her, looking into the mirror where he can see her in full nudity.
No, super weird, creepy, rapey scene that can only end properly with her kicking him out or them having sex. It can't end the way it ended, where he's just staring at her sleeping all night. I picture him there all night. Do you understand what I'm saying?
He had to have been
He's
there
literally, because he's still wearing her father's clothes.
Everyone wears her father's clothes.
That's something too.
I found some clothes.
What does that mean? Is that symbolism? Is that a joke?
Well,
what is this movie
is an
doing?
absent-minded guy, and needs to fill a spot. I love what was she even going for when she found the tape recorder that like said all this bullshit? She was like, out of nowhere, was like, I have to open a China hutch. And then that falls out and starts to play. I'm like, okay, you couldn't have written that a little better.
And she goes to Brad Pitt like, guess what? I found the truth.
Yeah.
That's her fucking, as if did they think there was not a truth before? What's happening?
I don't know.
I hate this movie.
Like, they were clearly friends, and anyone who you went to school with would know who your friends were the year before, 2 years before. How long was he in a men's institution for?
5 years.
He was 5 years. Yeah. So let's see. They're at the most they're 18 right now.
I don't know how long they've been out though. He's been out.
Yeah.
To that point, yeah.
But like, how crazy could he have got? Like, what was the turning point? I would have liked more about that. Like, did he go crazy when his dad died? Is that what did it?
I don't know.
They don't really go into it.
Whose dad did they kill?
They killed Crazy
Oh, no,
Boy's
because
dad.
Brad Pitt's dad is like the
guy
football dad.
Mr. Nicholson. Hi, Dan. This is my son, Dwight. This is Mr. Nicholson. He's from the university. He's here to scout you for that basketball scholarship. I don't have to tell you, it took a lot of talking to get him to come down to see you.
So the movie like opens, if not directly, very soon into it, is our main actress, and she's going out to get the paper, and she's not wearing pants. She's just like pulling her shirt down, this and that, and she grabs the paper. Her dad surprises her like, "Oh, you can't wear that shit outside, blah blah blah." "Oh, I'm going hunting, honey." "All right, no, you can't read the paper because you're gonna get distracted or some
stressed
bullshit."
out or something. Yeah.
And then like he leaves, and she throws it right in the garbage. And I was like, was her whole point just that he couldn't get it?
Yes.
Like, do we even know he was going to go get the paper?
The answer is
it
yes.
Seemed like he walked over that way because he's like, my daughter is naked as I'm getting into my car. I must stop this.
She has a thing where she intercepts the paper because of his high blood pressure.
I guess. So just that, I feel like that scene alone like can sum up the movie. I
think it's
this
emblematic
person
of the
does
thing.
something and immediately it was for nothing.
Why do we do that? Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that more than I should have.
We touched on it briefly. Some of the other attempts, I guess, at humor, right, with the numbered doors and like the math problem, right? You're the math teacher, just do it, right?
Yeah.
I hated that.
Yeah, well, that was dumb.
Okay, good.
Well, that whole bit was dumb. Like,
Yes.
like up to the reveal of him, like that's the worst reveal of him being the killer.
Yeah.
Because in character,
Well,
in the scene,
so-
she believes that he's not guilty at this time.
Yeah.
So why make that the point that break? Why not,
Absolutely.
if you're going to kill the teacher, kill him in a surprise way like you killed her two friends under the bleachers? Why do it right in front of her? Did you even want her? If your plan was to kill her at the end anyway, why are you toying with her so much? Why not kill her and use that over Brad Pitt's head? Be like, I killed your girlfriend.
Yeah, why?
Because you hate him the most.
Right. Are you trying to get back at Brad Pitt or are you trying to get the girl? Because if you're trying to do one,
Yeah.
there's something you do. I did like the line, he forgot the time zone difference.
Yeah.
He didn't account for the difference in time zones.
The whole thing culminates in a tool fight, I want to call it.
Yeah, that's accurate.
In the elaborate shop they have there, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot
It has like
of
metal shutters that like you push the thing. Okay, we're in the apocalypse mode.
Yeah.
Okay, smoke and steam and
Yeah.
shit's going
No,
now. We're
like,
ready to
like literally they're like running away. By the way, with the intercom, he knows where we are. I'm like, how does he know?
Yeah, he's paging individual rooms. He could have just turned them all on.
He's obviously magic.
He's magic.
Why would that be in the movie though? Why would you have him be able to track you from room to room? Makes no sense.
He knows we're here.
But they run into the auto or like metal or wood, everything shop, whatever. And literally, he like hits the thing to put it into lockdown mode. Then it turns into the ending of like Terminator, where you've got like
not
smoke
only does
and
it's
steam
one
and
thing
pistons.
that
Everything starts doing its thing.
I
Yeah.
guess like he's literally just turning the power on to the room,
Yes.
and everyone leaves every tool running.
Got to.
Which that's dumb.
Must.
And I guess the shutters are like someone hit off and then turn the power off, so that like they would like shut the second you turn the power back on. But what's so weird is like there's a part where they're fighting. They each have a tool. He's got a drill and he's got a grinder, and they're fighting. Oh, we're going okay, and then he's like, "Oh, unplug his fucking thing." Just turn them both off. They're on the same
Who
power
cares?
switch.
You should be able to beat him. You're an athlete.
You would think,
Right?
but he gets bested in almost every way. Like literally. At one point, there's like old iron forging like clamps, and he grabs him by the neck.
Yeah.
You taught me, now I'll teach you. Teach me what? Killing.
And then like quickly and swiftly gets his head into a vice and spins him a couple times. I'm like, you're trapping a man by vicing his head.
And
how
he-
hard must your head be viced to be trapped?
And he can't get out even though his hands can touch the vice.
Yes.
Which is the whole thing. I would have liked this.
There's
hands to
also
have
though a
been
drill
bound.
like right by his chest. I think
Yeah.
I think it may like maybe the idea is if he sees me go for that, he'll kick that into my heart. But it's not explained.
I don't know. Yeah, I would have liked his hands to be bound or something, so it's a little more convincing that he's doing a thing, right? Yeah. And that would have been like a great reveal to like scare her little by little into like a place, and then like the lights turn on and Brad Pitt's in the vice and he's there like, you don't love me? Well then, whatever, bad things happening.
Well, that would be more like Scream stuff. Like she turns the lights on, the boyfriend's alive, lights go off, turns back on, he's dead.
Well, I just mean like to be like have Brian there.
No, just
like,
a more comparison of Scream's a pretty good movie. Maybe
righty tighty, lefty loosey. That good callback to have in there.
You decide, Dwight's fate. Righty tighty or lefty loosey? Which is it?
Let him out of that thing!
Yeah.
Destroying me. No, not a good. I'm joking. Not a good callback.
No, it's genius.
A dumb thing to put into
the
a movie.
lines in general are not good.
The
in
dialogue
this
is
movie.
not good.
No.
Yes.
You're just like me, Dwight. You're a killer, but you haven't had the opportunity yet. So what do you say, sport? Now's a good time to start.
So 2 lines that jump out in this movie that's not really known for its lines, I think, are Brad Pitt telling the principal, "You like boys, don't you?" Just like out of the blue, like, well, I'm like, that's a good, all right.
Shouldn't you be bouncing a ball somewhere?
You like boys, don't you?
Okay.
Got some.
Okay, here's something.
Homophobia going on.
You just jogged my thing because
Sure.
I wanted the gym teacher to be a creepy sex pervert.
Sure.
But he also wants to fuck Paul, I think, so it wouldn't have worked. But maybe he just is crazy. Because he's like, yeah, Brad Pitt, come over like on Saturday. We're going to have a little one-on-one time. And I was like, okay. Something's going to happen here.
I want to see you here tomorrow with your gym gear on. We'll have a private little gym class together.
He dies in the weirdest way. He gets impaled while on a trampoline, and he's a big guy. Like, he would be already winded, I feel like, at this time. He could probably die of a heart attack. But the killer takes the flag. It's a full-size flag that would be impossible to actually upright it underneath the trampoline.
Yeah.
But he does that and impales the guy. And it seems like from the below that it's like in his dick, but really it's like in his heart or something when it pans out wide.
Yeah, because he's doing a thing where he like does like the lay down bounce sometimes. Yeah. He has to get it up and through and high enough for him to fall all the way on it very quickly. It's very crazy. Yeah. And you have to go back and picture Brian doing all these things. Because the whole time I'm like, yeah, Brad Pitt could do that. He's the fucking man. And then when it's Brian, it's like, what are you talking about?
Brian though does look like
he's a crazy
just
person.
a crazy enough person to be doing whatever.
Oh yes.
My second line is when the dad is at like the bait shop and the guy just like reaches in, grabs like worms and dirt and shit and rubs it on his shirt and he goes, "Now you smell like earth." You should bottle this.
You smell like the city. You're not gonna get anything that way. So you gotta smell like this. And does a thing. Yeah.
No,
wonderful.
Like, I thought, and that happens relatively early on in the thing, and I was like, this movie's delightful.
Yeah. Yes, I was also thinking that because that actor, and I thought we're gonna cut to him back and forth the whole time, going on like wacky adventures, being bad at being an outdoorsy guy, while we're cutting back to like a weird zany comedy where people are dying though, and it keeps getting whatever, right? And if you only watched the first minute and the last minute, you would assume that's what's in the middle. Because the last minute,
it bookends in the exact way.
Because he goes, "What are you cutting class?"
What are you doing out here, Paula?
What do you mean?
Shouldn't you be in school? You're not cutting class, I hope.
Title line,
and that's one of the worst, weirdest things ever. Like we ignore the fact that he was like shot through the lung at best with an arrow, has been out in the woods for 3 days, I think, and just tumbled down a huge mountain.
And he's concerned with his daughter's
it's like, what are you
school
doing?
attendance.
It's also Saturday. Because the Brad Pitt was there for a Saturday detention, wasn't
Perfect.
that? Yeah. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think he
was.
Well,
and they just did all that stuff, in the school where there's no students. So yes, it would have. Well, I don't know what day this is.
Well, no.
Maybe this is later.
You could excuse a weekday and no students because it was also the funeral.
Tomorrow is Mrs. Connacht's memorial service. I'm going.
Mrs. Connacht. I wouldn't cross the street for that old rag, and you wouldn't either, Dwight.
It was
all
the
the students might be at the funeral.
Sure. Well,
but
no,
I believe
because
it was a Saturday.
Well, because they were like, we have the funeral that day. No, you have to come to like detention that day. But that doesn't prove what day of the week it is, I guess.
I guess not.
You don't show tomorrow, you fail. You fail gym class, you don't get your diploma. No diploma, no future, no nothing.
This would have benefited from like a Clue style ending or like a weird, like
Dum 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 dum.
Like, even when it's very clearly Brian, I thought there was going to be another. I thought, okay, this is just the fake reveal, and there'll be another real reveal later of like something. And honestly, the whole like path of the whole thing, like the chick Paula, lets her hair down, starts doing whatever, and at the end basically says to Brad Pitt, "I'm down to fuck now. Life's too short." She says, "I want to go fast" or whatever, right? Fucking thing.
I want to go fast.
But like that's like the journey this whole thing is supposed to take us on, is like, oh, she's a slut now, everything's cool because we like fixed the problem. I'm like, what is happening? What is this movie about?
Brad Pitt with those breaks, he had so many opportunities to like go to the right.
Yeah.
But didn't, like, or how about he almost kills a child early on in the movie?
We have to set up that he's a reckless driver in the beginning.
But he almost kills. Well, the parents also pretty reckless. She lets the kid just like ride around in the street.
This is back
but
when
she
life
almost
was
kills
candy.
this kid, and there's some setup for him to say like, "We'll do this again on Tuesday."
Same time tomorrow?
Like some bullshit like that. And I'm like,
then drives away.
I'm like, you almost murdered this child.
But he used his charm to like smooth it over.
He's
right?
very
He's
charming.
a privileged upper class dude. Yeah.
It's very true.
Same time tomorrow?
When they're at the diner or whatever it is to get the hot dogs earlier on, they're all sitting on a car and they all drive away in a different car. And I was like, is that just some stranger's car?
They provide cars there for you to eat on.
How about how fucking
you're going to such a low level for some of these things.
Our killer drives around in this like bicycle that looks like it's probably the bike he had before he went to the psychiatric hospital.
Yeah.
And he's always in that sport coat. It's such a great like. Yeah. I love it.
A killer Mormon showing
These
up
are
to
the
do
things that
stuff.
make this movie so good for me.
Yeah.
We touched on it. So like everyone's wearing her dad's clothes. When Brad Pitt puts on the clothes, he's like, look at me, I'm the district attorney.
Check it out. I'm the district attorney.
And tries to, coitus her.
Yeah.
And she says, not until your grades improve.
No. Not until your grades improve.
At that rate, we'll never do it.
I love that her sexual relations are based on if her boyfriend is an A student or not.
No, she's cock blocking him. She's cock teasing him.
Well, because she
to try
knows
to
they'll
help
never
his
get
grade.
it. No, I think it's
what?
I think it's that she doesn't want to have sex,
Yeah.
and to give him the ring to reach for that he could never attain because she knows he's not smart enough. He's only potentially going to school based on his scholarship, which he'll never get. And then he even says at some point, I guess I gotta get my grades up. And I'm like, you're an idiot, son. You're never getting your grades up.
Well, okay, so why even be with him if she has no intention of doing anything?
Well,
good?
no, it's not that she's a good girl. She likes him.
Does she?
I think so. She
like
has
she's
a
very annoyed by
relationship with him, but doesn't want to go any further until
She wants
she's married.
to fuck Brian.
Well, of course.
That's
who
the
doesn't?
goal. No, listen, because Brian is smart. They're going to go off to college together, right? Brad Pitt's going to be stuck working at the ice cream shop or some shit
Probably.
locally in town.
More Stranger Things references.
And then they're going to go off and be in like college together and get down.
So Brad Pitt goes to that Saturday detention or detention, whatever it is, when no one else is there to school to do his thing.
Yeah, failed gym.
And
That's
he
his only class
only
he's not getting
goes to then say "fuck you" to the guy to his face.
Yeah.
Oh, glad to see you made it, Dwight. Go change.
Fuck you. Fuck you. And fuck you!
Yeah.
And then he scampers off, never to attend gym. He does change though, so I guess he was coming back. But it's such a weird thing. Like, why even go if you're just gonna be like? Because he could be like, go say "fuck you," and that guy go, "You fail," and it could be over. Like, why even show up?
So he's having a breakdown.
Of course.
It would have been nicer, though, if the gym teacher said, like, do this, and he was like, okay, and he's like, do that, and then he's like, listen, man, like, what the fuck? Like, blah, 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 I'm missing the funeral, this is crazy, don't you understand? He's like, don't you? And then it, like, escalates, and then he's like, no, fuck you. He'll get really angry, and then he'll, like, have to go do something, right? And then you'll be like, oh, Brad Pitt must have killed this guy now, because he's like, that's why he's taking all these risks.
poorly allude to that.
Everything that I say that they should have done, they also kind of try to do.
Yes.
That's how this works.
Just very poorly.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Now, a lot of things in this, could just be better.
And it's not just about making every little thing like a little better, right? There's just points in this movie where I'm kind of like I love the weirdness and the vibe and like the set and all that other stuff. But yeah, I like by the end of it, I could not believe that this is all the movie is like the guy you think's the killer in the first scene is the killer in the last scene, and the only little treat is this callback to the breaks and this cutting class title drop from the guy from Colonel Mustard, right?
I think I screamed so many times, like, how can he still be in the woods? Like, how? How can he be in the woods?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make any sense that he couldn't have come across anything. He didn't drive from the bait shop out into the woods. He walked.
From his house, apparently.
He's been walking for... No, he parked at the bait shop. But what I mean is, how do you not come across anybody? It's it insults the intelligence of the audience if the dogs can find him, but he can't get help.
Let's do a comical thing then, where he keeps getting knocked out, or he keeps trying to get help but can't. He makes it back to the suburbs, right? Something happens, but there's a misunderstanding. Someone thinks he's like a pervert trying to look through their window, and they go, oh, and he goes a whole.
This is the Ed Rooney thing.
Rooney. Yeah, exactly. Literally that. Literally Ferris Bueller, right? Literally that. Just do that if you don't have anything better than that.
Yeah, very strange.
Right.
This movie's strange, but I really liked it.
Why do you like it so much? Explain this to me.
It's mostly just the characters are creepy and interesting. Yeah. There's weird shit happening. It's a world that's so outlandish, while not turned up to 11 to make it a really good movie. It's fun. It's like a tepid bath where you're like it's not burning me. I can only be in it for a little while because it's gonna get cold, but it's pretty good.
It could be warmer, but I caught it in time.
I think the time period is really nostalgic for me. I like this time period. It's right in that crux of where movies were different, you were able to do things you shouldn't be able to do now, like all this weird sex perversion things are in
No,
this.
and I think for that reason, maybe even alone, to go back to see one of Brad Pitt's first thing, and to have it be such a strange thing, I think makes it worth watching for that reason, right? I did not, I think, enjoy it as much as you did, though, right? I think that's my issue.
Yeah. I like bad movies more than you like bad movies.
Yeah. You're very nostalgic about this too. This time period, the way
I like when things are shot on film. I always enjoy more. They get extra points from me in general. This being a movie that's we can both agree this is like an actual movie. It's shot nicely.
I love the way almost everything feels. Even the stuff that I've been critical of, I'm like, oh man.
Yes.
Even just the science class, having all the students and every table has a thing on it.
Yeah.
Everything's so much like attention, the way movies used to be. We always say. Right?
That science class would have been very hard to pay attention. They had a lot of like shelving on each desk.
Yeah, it was difficult.
I was like, this is weird.
Difficult to communicate. Yes.
Yeah. But I liked it.
I understand.
I like the feel of like the nerdy kid would be like 7, and you'd be like 7.
Can anyone name that? Dwight.
Salt.
Correct.
like that kind of shit. Like full classrooms. Like
when
the
he says
full production.
And when he says that's water, and he's like, man, fuck you. I know that. It's water. Come on, what are you doing?
Ordinary H2O. You do know what that is, Dwight.
Shut up.
Yeah. But I think that's it. Is that they feel so much more produced. We're like, oh, the score is decent. There's characters, there's extras, there's sets. All the sets are practical. There's real things. There's old, cool, fun cars. There's shit you just don't see every day. It's a feast.
A lot of the bad movies that we watch are so bad that I just turn off that part of my brain, though, where I'm like, oh, well, the sound sucks. They're just playing the same fucking horrible effect, or they're dubbing this poor, something so bad. I'm like, okay, well, I can't even consider that, right?
Yeah.
And this is so real that I'm like,
well,
okay,
it's so real, and it's something you don't hear about all the
Yeah.
time. It's not beaten to death. I didn't walk in with crazy expectations about it, because while I bought this VHS quite a while ago, I never saw it before because the VHS was broken and I wasn't able to fix it. I got it to play, but it played at 4 times speed, or just the sound, but not the video.
I was gonna say that's the way to watch this.
It was unwatchable. I didn't want to ruin it. And then we've had the DVD, for quite some time here, but just I think it's that the DVD's box doesn't
Yeah.
draw me the same way that VHS box did. Like it's
Yeah.
there's brighter pinks or something if I remember correctly. Like it just like, oh, that's cool. Look at that. What's this? And you know, I'm here watching it now, going, yeah, that was a good watch.
I think it's a strange find. I always like, but it's not the strangest find, right? So
No.
So I'm a little hesitant, but yeah, it's a really weird, interesting thing to go back to and be like, wait, what is that? Why is this like this? What's happening? Yeah.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
What are you doing?
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition, now it's only us. Our expert staff opinion